So we have D6702 from Accurascale, and it's got a bit of a problem. So let's see if we can try to figure out what's going on. Alright, so I'm going to put it out of its misery. So what you probably don't realize is, as I brought it back there, it was at 100% power. So I had the DC power controller at 100% and it was moving that slowly. Now as you saw it going around the layout and getting slower and kind of being a little bit unstable, I hadn't touched the power controller. The power controller was set at 55-60% that entire time. It was set on the same setting. No other Loco is doing it, so it's not an electrical issue with my layout or anything like that. In fact, I will dig out the D6704 that I have from Accurascale and it'll work just fine. So I wanted to try to get to the bottom of exactly what was wrong with this. Is it something that's easy to fix, or is it going to have to go back to Accurascale? So let's start off by testing D6704 just to show you guys it's not a layout. Okay, so you can see here I've got Accurascale's D6704 and then we've got D6702 here, which has been causing the trouble. So I'm just going to show you this working on the layout. I'm going to set the thing to the same speed and you can kind of get an idea of exactly how fast it should have been going, and we can go from there. So as you can see there, D6704, it's working fine. It's working fine at mid speed as well as slow speed, not a problem. But unfortunately with the D6702 here, we had to kind of max it out. So when troubleshooting these issues, kind of go for the obvious thing first, right? So since these are both running in DC, there's this card that comes from Accurascale that sets the various different dip switches for different modes of operation. So I'm just going to make sure, I'm going to line the two up side by side and make sure those dip switches are actually set correctly, because that's probably the first thing that you need to check. Alright, so I've moved this up a little bit and just want to show you something that I noticed. So under this side of the bogie works, you know, nothing going on there, but on this side here you can see it is very wet and it looks like there's been some oil spillage or some kind of leak. So since it's right there near all the bearings and I'm not quite sure where it's leaked from, I suspect that this may have gotten into the pickups and is interfering. Maybe you can sort of see it's on some of the wheels there. So I'm kind of wondering if, since oil is an insulator and not a conductor, I'm wondering if this is causing pickup issues, because it's intermittent, right? You saw there it goes up, speeds up, slows down, speeds up, slow down. So I suspect there's some issue that it might just be as simple as cleaning up this oil mess from whatever over lubrication was done at the factory. So we're going to try that first, and then obviously if that doesn't work, we may have to reach out to Accurascale to figure out what's going on. Alright, so we've got the two class 37s here from Accurascale. The one with the yellow ends is the one that works, so D6704 here, and then we have D6702. So the first thing we're going to do is just check the settings here, and I've got this light on the GoPro, so hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. So to remove, you just grab a hold of the roof, take that off, and then do the same thing on the other Loco, and then obviously try to keep them separated, you don't mess them up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move the camera to the other side since the stuff is down here, and we'll take a quick. Alright, so we've got the roof off, and now what we're going to do is compare the dip switches. Now there's two sets of dip switches here, There's a set that controls the lights. That's on the top part here. It's on a little separate PCB. I believe this is the DCC blanking plate. And then here we have just a set of onboard dip switches. Now these are the ones that have to be set correctly. Now I'm looking at the Loco here, which is D6702. None of the wiring looks bad. The connectors are all seated properly. So and the blanking plate is in there correctly. So the first thing we're going to do is verify that these are correct. So I'm looking here, and this is the instruction set that you get from Accurascale. And there are 3 sets of settings. There's the factory shipped ESU decoder, the non-ESU decoder, and then if you're fitting it with the DCC blanking plate. So we've got the DCC blanking plate, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and they correspond to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the board. So just to make it easy, we're gonna flip it around so you can see it, and we're interested in this one here. So the wool, it's a little bit difficult to see, but the kind of yellow spot up here is in the off position, and then up here would be in the on position. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 here are all in the off position. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the off position, and then 5 and 6 should be in the on position. So you got 5 and 6 there in the on position. However, if you look down here on the D6702, D6702 is actually configured incorrectly. If you look here, it's configured for the factory shipped ESU decoder. So you've got, actually it's not, it's set to some random, it's set to the non-factory shipped ESU decoder. So you've got 1, 2, 1 is on, 1 is off, 2 is on, 3 is off, 4, 5, and 6 are all on. So it appears to line up to this one, the operation with a non-ESU decoder. So this is obviously not right. So the first thing we're going to do is set this right and make sure that that's not the problem, right? So to fix this, we're going to put the first 4 into the on position, or into the off position, sorry. So to fix it, we're going to put the first 4 into the off position, and then these 2 are left in the on position. So what I'm going to do now is put the roof back on this, and put this back on the track, and see if it still works. Okay, so with D6704 out of the way, we're going to take D6702 here, put it back on the track, and see if that fixes the problem. Alright, so unfortunately, as you saw it going by there, that was at 100% power, so obviously it still has the problem. So what we're going to do next is take this thing over to the bench. As you saw earlier, there was some oil residue on the underside of it, so we're going to clean that up and hopefully get the wheels super clean and those pickups clean, maybe add some Bachmann easy conductive lubricant to it to help move it along a little bit, and hopefully that'll fix the problem. So let's take it over to the bench and give that a try. Okay, so since the bench is on the other side of the railway room here, I'm going to use this IKEA container. It's an IKEA Samla container, and they're very handy for just taking the Loco from one side of the layout to the other. You can put them in there diagonally, and then you can throw whatever extra bits and pieces you might have off of it. Alright, so now that I'm not going to lose any bits as I take it over to the workbench, let's head over to the workbench and see if we can clean it up. Alright, so we're over at the Loco servicing cradle. I've got 91% rubbing alcohol and some cotton buds. Then I have a rubbish bin down to my right here on the floor. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pour a little bit of the rubbing alcohol in here, like so. Set that off to the side. And then we have the Loco that we've transported over in the container here. There's no bits and pieces in the container, so I can set that aside. And then if I flick it over, this here is the side of the Loco that we want to work on. So I'm going to drop it there into the Loco servicing cradle. So you can see there's quite a bit of oil across the bogies and stuff. So we're going to go in and clean that up. So we're going to take some rubbing alcohol, just start with the wheels, and then just sort of clean the wheel off here. Make sure that there's no residue on the inside of the wheel, like that. And I'll do the same thing on the other wheel. And you can see there, it's picking up some dirt already, so there's a good chance some of that oil may have made it in there. Then I'm going to take the dry side and just going to clean up this oil altogether, and then toss it aside. So not sure exactly what kind of lubricant it is, so just gonna go back and forth here a little bit with the rubbing alcohol and get it all off. And then on the dry side, just run that over like so. And we'll just be careful, we'll take another one, just make sure it's all gone. Like so. So the next thing we're going to do is get some more Q-tips here, and with the rubbing alcohol, and then just go off and hold down the one wheel and just kind of clean not just the side but also the inside of the wheel as well. I'm going to use one per wheel, so we'll make sure we're not contaminating the other wheels, like so. And then finally we will do the last wheel here on this side. And what I am noticing is the inside here of the wheels is actually where a lot of the dirt is coming from. So there's a good chance that is possibly our problem. So now we're going to go clean the bottom side of the wheels. So just hold my finger on there. And you're going to try to get it as close as possible. You can sort of see there, that's what I was talking about, right? Look at all that dirt that's down inside the actual inside of the wheel where it makes contact with the pickups. So at least I assume that's where it's making contact with the pickups. And this is the one we cleaned earlier, so this one should be pretty clean, which it is. And then last but not least, we're going to clean this wheel here. Now I'm going to clean the other wheels too, but I'm not going to do it on video. I don't think there's any need to do that. But you can see there, it's pretty dirty. And for a train that's been running on clean track for, you know, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours max, it shouldn't be that dirty. So I'm guessing this is from the oil residue. So one thing though is that we've only done half the wheels. So what I'm going to do is get some power and apply it to the wheels so that I can rotate them slightly and get the thing going. So I've got a pair of crocodile clips here, and as long as you don't touch them together, it should be fine. Of course, my train controller doesn't have power, so give me a second. Okay, so I've supplied power to the track here. So we're going to go and see what we get. I'm going to turn it to let's say 30%, and then we're just going to touch opposite wheels. And you can see there, I think I've rotated it enough to get to the other side of the wheel. So you just repeat the same process, hold it down, clean the wheel, clean the back side of the wheel like this, and then move on to the next wheel. Like so. And I'm just throwing these cotton buds in the rubbish bin once I'm done with them. That way I don't mix it up. But you can see here there's definitely a decent amount of dirt on it. And then start on the other side. You can see there it is pulling off more dirt than I would expect it to pull off from the track, so from the wheels. And then again, what we're going to do is just take the two how should we turn it on? So again, set the power controller to about 20. Get it to rotate the wheels. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but down in there you should be able to see the pickups, and they're touching the wheels. So what we're going to do is try to get some isopropyl alcohol down in there if we can. So I'm going to just sort of drip it out of the... You're going to put a lot of it on, and then what's going to happen is it's going to drip down hopefully into that. You put enough on, it'll basically drip down into the pickup area, like so. Now it might be difficult to just on camera, but I'm also going to try to get a little screwdriver down there to maybe get it in a little bit further. Okay, so once you've done that liberally, increase the power to about 40. And then I'm going to set it on these other two wheels on the other side, and it should cause those ones to move. Now if I set the power level to 90, so I'm barely touching this, so like I would expect it to move faster than this at 90% power. Let's put it on max. Yeah, so it's not looking too promising for this. I think there might be some other issue going on, so I'm going to go and see if this too looks like it has any kind of evidence that it was leaking oil. And what's interesting is this is starting to get wet again after it was cleaned. So I'm wondering if there's something in here that's causing it to leak oil. Maybe it's a defective motor or something like that. So I'm not sure how visible this is going to be on camera, but what I've done is I've taken this flathead screwdriver, and the pickups appear to be across the wheels. There's a set of pickups that touch these side of the wheels, and there's a set of pickups that touch these wheels. And so what I'm doing is I'm just basically putting a liberal amount of isopropyl alcohol onto the end of the screwdriver. So you see I'm dipping it in there and sort of getting enough of it so that it's dripping and has some on there. And then I'm just basically getting the screwdriver under the contact and cleaning in between the contact and the wheel. And so I'm just going to repeat this process. I don't know how easy it's going to be. You're probably not going to be able to see this on the camera. But basically I'm just going to repeat this process all the way around. Now what's interesting is I did notice that seems to be a lot of seepage coming from inside the axle boxes here. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe somebody had used too much oil in the factory when they were assembling this. So like I said, get as much as you can on, clean off the contact, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of just keep cleaning these and then repeating the process of applying the power and seeing if I get any kind of improvement at all. If I don't get any improvement at all, I'm probably going to reach out to the folks at Accurascale unless I see something else that's obvious that could be fixed. So the good news is I've got this on about, I think it's like 40% power or so, and I've cleaned these two wheels more liberally, and you can see there it's starting to show some signs of improvement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep at it. So if I put this on 100%, for example, it's now starting to see slightly higher speeds. Not perfect, but it's a lot better, which kind of makes you feel like I'm on the right track. So I'm going to keep cleaning this and see if I can get any better results. As you can see there, it's working a good bit better. So I'm going to keep cleaning these. It might take me a while, so I'm not going to make it like a 2-hour video as I clean this out. I'm going to keep at it, and we'll show you the end result hopefully here on the workbench in a little bit. Okay, so it's taking me about 30 minutes or so, and you can see here some of these Q-tips have a fair amount of dirt on them. There's like a whole but a couple dozen here that I took to clean both sets of bogies. So they are clean now. I'm not getting any more dirt off of them, and it seems to be running reasonably okay. So what I'm going to do is take it over to the layout. I've cleaned the track on the layout as well, just to be safe, make sure that this thing hadn't put anything down on it, and then we're going to go in and see if it helps at all. Okay, so it epically failed on the layout. It's actually just as bad, and it seems to come and go intermittently, like there's some kind of loose connection, but the wheels are super clean, so I know that's not the problem. Tried to use the connectivity stuff. It did not work, but I will wrap this thing into 100% and just show you guys what's going on. So it's kind of behaving itself a little bit there. But not so much this way. I suspect it's some kind of loose wire or something, because it worked perfectly fine when I first got it for at least an hour or two. So I'm going to try to open this thing up. One option would be to send it back to Accurascale, but since I live in the United States, it's a real major pain. So since we can repair things, might as well attempt a tear down, I guess, of this thing. So probably a bit too much for this video. So I'm going to do the full Accurascale teardown in a follow-up video, which I will put up on the website or up on YouTube immediately after this one. So hope you guys found this useful somewhat, and we'll do a teardown.